and we are on air, and it is in the Midwest, 10 a.m., the very last day of June, and somehow that last day of June always bugs me, but just a little play on words there. As Shakespeare was prone to say, punning is the highest form of humor. How are you this morning, Barrett?
You had to tell that so I could get it, though, because I was not with you until you said that. But yes, I guess there are June bugs, and there are May flies. I don't know if there are July mosquitoes or, what it keeps coming into, but there's always something here.
Yeah, I think July is the month of snakes. So
July snakes. Okay.
Yes, you have to. Yeah, that of course is very regional. So when you go down south, you have water moccasins sitting there on tree limbs, right? Dripping themselves into streams and rivers and lakes, and that's what makes July so exciting when you cross that Mason-Dixon line.
That's true. That's true. You never know what's going to jump out at you.
Very true. Actually, I had a very good friend who was he was born on my birthday, but he was born on my birthday, March 1st, on a leap year. So he was actually born the 29th of February, which was kind of fun. And he was a young fellow. He went down to Arkansas to hang out with family, and when he came back up, he had a snakeskin belt, and I was quite impressed with that. And I said, "How did you acquire that one?" And he said, "Well, I was out walking through the woods in the morning. I wanted to shoot a squirrel for breakfast, and I thought, oh boy, this is going to be an interesting story." And he said, and I shot a squirrel in a tree, and it fell from the tree limb and hit a snake, and the snake started to swallow it. So I had to shoot the snake in order to get my squirrel. So he had breakfast and all the necessary supplies for making his very own rattlesnake belt.
Well, that is amazing. I've heard of two birds with one stone, but this story somehow seems to go far beyond that.
It is. It's almost transcendent. I mean, it's that kind of thing that, when that knocks at your door, you have to recognize opportunity of that magnitude and grab it with gusto.
Well, I agree with that. I think that we have many opportunities, and whether they come in the form of a snake falling out of a tree or whether they come in the form of just all of our daily occurrences, some of which look good, like this extra bonus animal, and some of which look challenging. Yet, as we were talking about just before we started, forgiveness really encompasses all of them, and it's not about making right something here in the world. It's about letting go of the world completely. And it doesn't mean that we actually disavow things here on the level of form, or we don't have quote unquote normal interactions or relations, or even quote unquote possessions. But what we're letting go of is our attachment to all of those things, and our attachment to how things look in our lives. There's that beautiful lesson in the Course, I do not know what anything is for. Like, that's a blow to the ego right there.
Yes, especially in a political year, because we all know that we're doomed unless this person gets elected and that person gets, put in check, put in their damn corner and given a good solid timeout, which is, not a bad thing, I suppose. But the reality is, again, it comes back around to that recognition that there is no other person out there. And we're trying somewhat desperately, it seems at times, to reintegrate 7 billion of us back into single-mindedness. And it's not even our own single-mindedness. This is the core of the issue, the single-mindedness, has to be God's mind. And as we are able to accommodate that idea that, oh, I should stop thinking so that God can start thinking through me, and a lot of these issues will start to become resolved, because we really don't have a freaking clue as to what's going on. And we need to stop and let the Holy Spirit clarify the circumstances and experiences that we're having in this somewhat bizarre ride through space and time.
Yeah, and again, to the ego, that's scary, but in truth, it's a relief. You know, how much stress and strain do we all have trying to figure out what to do with our life, what to, do today, what to do in our jobs, what to do about money, what to do about possessions, what to do about the car, about the house, about where we live, whatever it is. It's like an endless list of issues and challenges and struggles and strain. And if we don't need to know what any of this is for, because we really don't know what any of this is for, wow, all of a sudden we're free. We're free just to be here right now, be in this moment, like you and I are on this call. We're just here, and all of that falls away. If we need to do something, we'll just simply do it. And if we need to say something, we'll simply say it. But it doesn't come from a place of lack. It doesn't come from a place of feeling like we need to get something in order to achieve anything.
Right. It really is all about identity. I mean, when we are in conversation and when we are in that state of union, a melding of the minds, it really isn't about what our ego thinks. It is about what God is thinking through us on our behalf. And imagine that level of intimacy where you're seeing all of creation through the eyes and through the empowerment that love affords us. Because when we look at the world around us through the eyes of love, it strips off the illusion. The way the Course starts off is by reminding us that all that is real is something that God created, and everything else is an illusion. So God is only capable of creating that which is perfect and filled with love and eternal. And imagine being able to see the world through that vision and having the rest of it exploded, so that we're no longer a victim of fear and hatred and warmongering and that desire to create a world in our image of perfection, which of course is highly flawed.
Yeah, yeah. There's some line, I think it's in Gary Renard's book, Disappearance of the Universe, where his teachers say that this world is like creating a painting, but the paint itself starts to chip and peel as soon as you paint, and the canvas itself maybe is defective and flawed, and so the whole creation starts to fall apart as soon as you put it together. And that's the kind of world that we made. It's a world where things don't last. Everything here has an expiration date, and some of the things here in the world seem to be past their expiration date. But the good news is that this is not our true home. And where we are, there is no expiration date. There is no ending. There is no beginning. In that perfect love, that perfect peace, there's nothing to fear. There is no other, because there is only oneness. And that is our goal, is to come back into awareness of that truth. And I liked what you said a few times now about how we let ourselves be, God think for us. And it reminds me of an expression that Gloria Wapnick talked about, that when we're in that moment of selflessness, when we're in that capital S self-truth, that we are really being thunk by God. And that's always kind of stuck with me. So it's a cool way to think about it.
It absolutely is a beautiful way of perceiving truth and reality. And we are actually at a point where we're going to delve into a part of the course that you had thought about sharing with our listeners, looking more deeply into that concept of the obstacles that we generate to prevent peace from arriving in our lives. And man, are we brilliant at that. It's an ongoing challenge to be at peace with life. And that's one of my meditations that I'm doing a lot right now is I get into a quiet space and do my affirmation around the only thing that I truly want is the peace of God. And as you get quiet and keep that as your intention, you will literally feel a release that goes on. It's like that part of your body that is still saturated with adrenaline and is still in fight or flight or in panic mode. All of a sudden that just starts to dissolve. It's really quite fascinating how you can slide down into that space. It literally is a coming within yourself, because we are always projecting our thoughts and our fears and everything else into the world around us. But when we come back into ourselves, when we go down into that place that is quiet and comfortable, that womb of divinity, which is so, remarkable and immaculate and so profound, that's when that peace that, as Jesus said, the peace that passeth understanding, that's when it rolls in. That's when high tide comes in. That's when you feel that ocean of love start to arrive at the shores of your life. And that's really when you actually are able to clear your mind and see the truth that exists in your surroundings.
It's true. And that peace is always waiting for us. We're just not always ready to experience that. So again, this is section 4 in chapter 19, the obstacles to peace. I'm just going to read the beginning of it. As peace extends from deep inside yourself to embrace all the sonship and give it rest, it will encounter many obstacles. Some of them you will try to impose. Others will seem to arise from elsewhere, from your brothers, and from various aspects of the world outside. Yet peace will gently cover them, extending past, completely unencumbered. The extension of the Holy Spirit's purpose from your relationship to others to bring them gently in is the way in which He will bring means and goal in line. The peace He lay deep within you and your brother will quietly extend to every aspect of your life, surrounding you and your brother with glowing happiness and the calm awareness of complete protection. And you will carry its message of love and safety and freedom to everyone who draws nigh unto your temple, where healing waits for him. You will not wait to give him this, for you will call to him and he will answer you, recognizing in your call the call for God. And you will draw him in and give him rest as it was given you. So this is our true nature. This is our true purpose, to let this peace extend through us and from us, knowing that we are messengers of love. And the question then becomes, well, how come I'm not doing this already? I mean, it sounds pretty good, but my life doesn't feel like that most of the time. And I think that's what we're going to get into as we keep going here, is that there are so many ego attachments that we have, and acknowledging them, really looking at them straight in the face, straight in the eye, is the way to undo them, because we come to see that they have no power inherently, that the only seeming power they have is what we have given them.
That's very true. And, one of the things that we operate in this more material world with is a contingency plan. If I am going to give this, then I have the expectation of receiving something in return. And I think that when we are afforded that opportunity to give without an expectation, I think that is when we finally arrive at that gateway, that portal to stepping into a world of totality. And we come to recognize the fullness of the abundance of this lifestyle that is calling to us. And it is all founded on that idea of extending peace and extending forgiveness and giving allowance for the fact that we really don't know what we're looking at, and we don't understand what's motivating people, and we don't realize that there are a lot of moves on the chessboard that position them where they are currently. And without that awareness, without that understanding, all we can do is misjudge everybody that we encounter in life.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, like going from this idea of the chessboard, like life being a strategy, a game we need to strategize and find our best advantage and kind of counterattack and defend against what might be other people's moves. That's really kind of like the old style. And if you look at games, I think most board games or things like that, and even sport games, they're really against one another. There's someone that has to win, there's someone that has to lose. It's always about finding an edge or getting a leg up somehow on the competition. I've noticed that some games now are turning into more collaborative things, where you as a team try to have a goal and achieve it together, and you either achieve it or you don't achieve it. And I think that it's interesting because it really reflects this shift in the mind, where that is the true nature of our purpose together, is to help one another, to help support each other through being kind with one another, through being loving, through being caring. And the work then becomes like noticing when we're not, noticing when we are judgmental, noticing when we are unkind, and not beating ourselves up for that. Our first tendency when we notice these things in us is to say, "Oh my God, what kind of a course student am I, or spiritual person? I just totally lambasted that person, either verbally or mentally." So when we step back from that, attacking ourselves, then we can really just hold space for these parts of ourselves that need attention and that need compassion, and see that by really being kind to that part of ourselves, we'll actually start to shift and undo.
Absolutely. And every time we walk away from an encounter with somebody feeling like we have won is really a profound statement of the degree to which we have lost. Because whenever somebody else crosses our path and we have this compulsion to knock some sense into them, to pound them down to the point where they acquiesce to our somewhat lofty vision, that is when we have unraveled all of the things that we've been working on. And that's rampant in our society. See everybody out there on a street corner attacking somebody else, and we really have to step back and once again reclaim that place of peace within us, where we can penetrate that illusion and see it for what it is, and recognize that that guy from that Kansas group of Christians who are wanting all the lesbians and gay people in the world to be burned in hell, they are actually in so much pain, and The only way we can approach them is with compassion and acceptance. And we don't even have to forgive them, because all we have to do is look at the truth, which is that projection of ego that they're exposing to us. Not only is an illusion, but it was an illusion that, see, we somehow needed to have in the world to make this world real, to validate this world. So every time you accuse somebody of some evil deed, the truth is that part of your consciousness created that illusion so that you could step away from that situation feeling like, I won, I vanquished the evildoer. And when you walk away with that kind of a feeling, you're really hobbling away pretty well beat up by the encounter, and you just don't realize it yet.
Yeah. I mean, as the Course says, as we see our brother, so we see ourselves. Take that, Chris. I win the Course in Miracles conversation.
Well, damn it, I'm going to leave. But we are winding down here, but we've got a lot of juicy stuff in this section to talk about. And so join us next week, because we'll be looking at the first obstacle, which is a desire to get rid of it. And it's kind of like one of those things when, you have flypaper and you're trying to get rid of it, and it's just sticking to everything. And, you think you finally got rid of it, but it's in the middle of your back as you walk off, and everybody's chuckling and going, yeah, you got rid of it.
It's true. Yeah, we're going to go a lot deeper into this section. There are some real gems in this part of the Course. So you can even, be the good student if you want, and read ahead, and then you'll know what we're talking about when we get into it next week. But don't guilt yourself if you don't read it. So
Exactly. We've all got to stick together here, and these conversations are kind of like flypaper for humanity.
Yeah, we're getting ourselves out of a sticky situation.
Yes, or into it, one or the other. But, well, Barrett, we've got the month of July on the horizon, all kinds of activities coming up, and we'll go into those in more detail next week. But you've got something very eminent here that you probably want to mention before we shut it down.
Yeah, if this goes out today, I have a past life healing class tonight, Thursday, June 30th at Yoga Now in Chicago. And then I've got a bunch of things coming up in July. You can check out all my events at my website, which is barretthedin.com. Just click on the events and what's happening, and you can find out what's going on.
And that's perfect. I have a couple of things coming up too, but I'll wait until next week to unveil whatever it is that's going to happen, because I have some general ideas, but I'm not entirely committed yet to anything. And there are those who would like to commit me, but I keep outrunning them.
Well, I have to say, Chris, that you are a very committed person.
Well, on that happy note, we will commit to reconvening in 1 week, and we hope you all have a wonderful 4th of July. And just remember, nationalism in the long run really doesn't work. So go out and enjoy the fireworks, but don't get caught up in the idea of am I this or am I that.
USA, USA.
Uh-oh. The revolution has begun.
All right. Well, it's great talking to you, Chris. This is really fun.
Yes, I'll look forward to a chat in 7 days, and everybody stay happy. That's all you have to do. Just be happy.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.